The story of the new Green Lanterns continued this week with the release of Absolute Green Lantern number 3. And one thing is clear, these characters aren't anything like what we've seen before. If you haven't been keeping up with this series and are even remotely familiar with the Green Lanterns of the mainline DC universe, then the differences on display may shock you. The Absolute Universe was created by the evil new god Darkseid, and it is permeated with his negative energy. What this means is that the heroes of the universe are at an immediate disadvantage, and everything leans towards cruelty and callousness. Where the mainline DC universe's Green Lanterns are essentially space cops, enforcing laws and protecting people from larger-than-life threats, that is not the case in the Absolute Universe. There is no Green Lantern Corps. There are no power rings. These powers seem less like a duty and more like a curse or a punishment somehow. Like the mainline universe, the characters don't choose these abilities. They are given them, whether they want them or not. The town of Evergreen, Nevada was visited by the alien Abin Sur, who sealed the town off inside of a green bubble, and he cast his judgment upon the residents. Quite what that means so far remains to be seen, but it doesn't seem so good. Up first, police officer Guy Gardner was seemingly incinerated, while one of his deputies was beheaded and the other lost his hand. The primary characters of the book, Jo Mullein, Hal Jordan and John Stewart, are attempting to find a way to escape from the town in their own way. John seems to be methodical and analytical. Jo tries to keep everyone calm, although she is dealing with the aftermath of her marriage breaking down, while Hal is hot-headed and quick to turn to violence. This issue picks up shortly after the events of issue 2, with John examining an earring that he found in the street. It had belonged to a biker who had crashed into the green energy field and was immediately killed. Yet somehow his earring made it through. So yes, this is the yellow imperfection from the Silver Age of comics, later retconned to being caused by the embodiment of fear being imprisoned in the battery that powered the Green Lantern Corps' rings. Side note, convoluted explanations of silly Silver Age ideas is one of the things I really dislike about the mainline comics, and I suspect this is part of why the Absolute line is selling so well. John isn't entirely sure what allowed the earring to get through, but he has a theory. In the process, he achieves the impossible. He finds a use for Funko Pops, or Funzo figures as they're called in this universe, as he throws a gold Blue Devil figure through the energy field. It's worth noting that Blue Devil is a superhero in the mainline universe, but here he's a character in a not-so-successful movie. But the yellow figure can break through the field, helping John narrow down a way of breaking free. Their next test involves throwing Jo's wedding ring, which is actually made of gold, with explosive results. With their tests complete, the trio decide to round up as much gold as they can, melt it down and craft a tool to help them escape. However, these tests have not gone by unnoticed. Abin Sur arrives and passes judgment on John, much like he did Guy Gardner. I suspect that he's not actually killing them though, because John looked pretty serene at this point of disintegration. Perhaps he is merely transported somewhere else. Todd Rice, known as Obsidian in the mainline comics, is a barista at Alan Scott's Atom Bomb Cafe and Diner, something that was shown in the last issue and completely flew by me. If you're not familiar with the significance of this, Alan Scott was the original Golden Age Green Lantern, the one armed with the magic ring, and Obsidian is his son. So I think it's safe to assume that in the Absolute Universe, Todd has inherited his father's diner rather than gaining superpowers, which feels like a bit of a step down, I'll not lie. But Todd reacts to Abin Sur's judgment of John with violence, blasting at him with a shotgun. Abin Sur responds by saying that Todd's judgment is in process before he vanishes. I have to think that this will not end well for him. Meanwhile, back in the present day, Hal has seemingly succumbed to the Black Hand and tells Jo to stop resisting it. The Black Hand wants to consume the light, but Jo isn't about to stand around and let that happen, so the two battle. Hal is unable to control the Black Hand and has seemingly given in to despair. Jo, meanwhile, stands firm and protects herself from its energy and fights back. She tells Hal he needs to figure out how to control himself. Back in the past, and the issue ends with Hal painting the bullets of the gun that he took off of the police officers yellow. Given that we see the Black Hand channeling through the same gun in this issue, I think it's safe to say that Hal's attack on Abin Sur is not going to go well at all. I have to say that I'm very pleased with how each Absolute book has its own tone. Where Superman is an environmentalist action book and The Flash is a teen runaway story, Green Lantern is more of a cosmic horror book. I feel that Abin Sur's mission, while presented as terrible, is likely just something that we can't understand. I don't think that he's malevolent, or at least he doesn't believe that he's a villain, Note how the only person he definitely killed was a cop that opened fire on him and whose bullets ricocheted into the crowd of people. Even when Todd shot at him this issue, no one was harmed, so Abin Sur left, doubtlessly to return later on once he's done processing his thoughts. And while his gift seems strange and frightening, Jo is actually making good use of her powers. Hal, meanwhile, is quick to turn to violence and gives up in the face of adversity. So perhaps this version of him needs the Black Hand to better himself. I can't shake the feeling that Abin Sur's cosmic personality tests aren't quite as horrendous as they seem. Absolute Green Lantern 3 is available now from all good comic shops. If you are based in the UK and don't have a comic shop near you, then you might want to use my affiliate link with the UK's biggest comic book retailer, Forbidden Planet. I have included a link in the pinned comment on this video. Alternatively, if the idea of hoarding a collection of comic books fills you with dread, I think I have got space for about 3 more boxes in our storage unit before I run out. You may want to try getting a digital copy of the issue from Amazon. I also have an affiliate link with them, which you could use to help my channel out. This is also included in the pinned comment. To those that have read this issue, what did you think? Was I the only one that completely missed the Alan Scott reference in the last issue? I'm so glad they made the reference very obvious this time. There's no way that John Stewart is really dead, is there? Right? Surely? This series has been absolutely loaded with cameos from established characters, with Alan Scott, Obsidian and Blue Devil showing up in this issue. Any guesses on who we might see next? Buona Beast, perhaps? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Next time, I'll be back later this week with a video about Absolute Superman 8, where we get an excellent look at the immortal God's Head Ra's al Ghul, and see how Brainiac has enhanced Peacemaker Chris Smith, all while Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen argue about who knows what's best for Superman. Spoilers, but I really did enjoy this issue. And next week, the next big arc in Absolute Batman kicks off with the introduction of Absolute Bane. There's been a lot of discourse about this issue online, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing how this abominable mass of muscle turns out. As there's only one Absolute comic next week and it's Pride Month, I want to release a short video about the late Kevin Conroy's autobiographical comic Finding Batman, which was published shortly before he died. It's a deeply personal story about how his life experience, both as a gay man in the 80s and growing up in a dysfunctional family, helped him find his now iconic voice of Batman. Hope to see you then.